Welcome back to Junction 119. This is Kellan.
This is Casen.
How goes it, man? We are
Good,
officially
good.
in October. We are in the best
Yep.
sports month of the calendar year, as I say every year. And I, for one, have thoroughly enjoyed the last 2 days. Uh,
Yeah.
how about yourself?
Yeah, yeah. We've got the best of all worlds here getting ready. The baseball postseason's beginning. We still got football really getting into the meat of the season. We've got basketball and hockey getting ready to go. So yeah, October, best month of the year.
It is the best month of the year. And that's actually where we're going to start today. Ordinarily, we would bring you our whole preseason, postseason preview. But Jim Nye is going to join us next week, as of now, as of this taping. But we are going to talk a little bit about the wild card and what has transpired, just because it is going to be Thursday by the time you get our show this week. More of kind of our normal midweek kind of Thursday kind of end of weekish thing, because it really wasn't that long ago that I talked to you, since we did our last show last Friday. And then we are gonna get into some football discussion and to another story which I really cannot believe, which I think is indicative to a whole other situation. But we begin with your Cleveland Guardians, Casen, and a lot of friends of the show and of myself and of yourself, their Detroit Tigers. As officially as of what we got, 5:20 something on a
Yeah.
Wednesday evening, we will have a game three in this wild card series between these two division rivals. Have you gotten a chance to kind of see any of the games over the last couple of days?
Uh, I haven't got the chance to really see a lot of the games. I've seen, a bit of them here and there.
Hmm.
Because middle of the workday is where we're at with these.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
and you're talking to a guy who works in sports, so we have these games on.
yeah.
So it's just the nature of the beast. We have them on in the office. We're able to pretty much see what's going on. So that is kind of the one of the many perks, I'd say, of it. But yeah, over the last couple of days, especially with the amount of eyeballs in my particular office on this series and on these two teams, and what has
Mm.
transpired over the last month, as we discussed last week.
Yeah.
Um, Needless to say, I really went into this. I was like, this really could go either way. And so, are you aware of what's happened the last couple of days?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I did see that the Guardians, I believe, to be honest, my brain is like really not fully here as we're getting into
That's
the
understandable. That's
waiting
very
waiting weeks
understandable.
of what's going on in my personal life. Um but so I might be remembering stuff incorrectly, but I remember we discussed sort of the collapse of the Tigers season, and then it came down to that final series that each the Tigers and Guardians played, the Guardians ended up walking away with the division.
Yep.
Uh,
And then later
in
in the day on Saturday, the Tigers also made it to the postseason, which
Yep.
eliminated the Houston Astros, as they are not in the postseason for the first time in the last 9 years, which was significant. And I was perfectly fine with that, as was essentially most of the baseball world.
Yeah.
But I was happy to see both teams make it, but it did solidify that we were going to get them in this first wild card. We were also going to get a good old fashioned Red Sox Yankees wild card, which is still boggling. By the time you hear this show, we will know what's going to happen in that series, whether or not we'll have another game. We'll have another game three. I think we very well could, but we'll see. And that left us to yesterday, where Tarek Skubal was essentially able, I want to say it was like 14 strikeouts. It was a fantastic start and day for the incredible, probably AL Cy Young Award winner. I will say that if you didn't see it out there, you Casey included, the Guardians have had this aura and have had obviously the Tigers number over the last month, when Jose Ramirez essentially is able to leg out a triple in the top of the ninth inning, bottom of the ninth inning rather. It really did seem like uh-oh. Like, it really felt like they're one swing of the bat away from tying this game, potentially winning this game. and you really could feel the whole thing shift. And it was like, are they about to really go forward with this? And that didn't happen. Tigers were able to hang on to win. And then today, the Guardians really blew the doors off, but it didn't. It took until the eighth inning. Casey Mize did pretty well out of the gate, but I will say that today it really felt like this was kind of what this series was heading toward. Kept thinking to myself, I just have this feeling the Tigers have been reeling too much to get this done in two games. That's how I felt anyway. That's my takeaways of these two games, having watched them both.
Mhm. And yeah, I mean, I think what this ends up coming down to is uh another afternoon matchup tomorrow. And I think it's basically anybody's game at that point. I mean, I would think potentially it's obviously I would pick probably Cleveland to win that just with
Mm.
sort of the way that the series has shifted. Um, and I think I would hope they'd be able to win, obviously from my perspective, but who knows? I mean, I think it's going to be, one of those weird games. Anything can happen. And essentially a, winner take all game like that.
I will say that I like each of these teams' chances if they, whoever the winner is, they're going to have to roll into a matchup with a very, very good Seattle Mariners team. But again, whoever it is going to have the advantage of having played this week, which with this new expanded playoff format and teams sitting around for a week, if you get the bye again, it's still you run into that whole thing of do teams cool off. Baseball
Yeah,
more
yeah.
so than any other is that case, and I just think that whoever is able to grind it out and ultimately win this battle of the season, which comes down to Thursday, is going to be a tough out.
Yeah, I that's a good point. We should probably take a minute to look at the bracket real quick,
Yeah,
just to kind of go around that.
yeah, we'll address. Well, let's go ahead and address the rest of it.
Um, but so like Kellan mentioned, the winner of the Tigers Guardians series will play the Seattle Mariners. And then on the other side of the bracket, it's the Boston Red Sox and New York Yankees series. And the winner of
Hmm.
that is going to play the one seed Toronto Blue Jays, who have been pretty big wagon for most of the year.
Yeah,
And then over in the NL, you've got the Cincinnati Reds playing the Dodgers. The winner of that will play the Phillies. And then as of right now, as of this taping, it's the end of the seventh in the Padres Cubs game. The winner of that series will play the Milwaukee Brewers. So uh, moving into the other series here, the Red Sox Yankees series, which I those series are always kind of high intensity,
I was looking.
vitriolic.
I'm looking for a fist fight before the end of this. I want this to be like
Uh,
2002,
I
2003, 2004.
in true Red Sox Yankees postseason series matchups
Yes.
fashion, you had a game last night. I did catch the very end of this game
Hmm.
because Matt texted me get to ESPN right now. And so I did see like the final bottom of the ninth there. And so I the
Utter
poeticness.
collapse.
Yeah, the insane like visual of like seeing Aroldis Chapman pitching that game
Yep.
against the Yankees. Um, and then I mean, look, so you had the at the bottom of the ninth, you had the Yankees get the bases loaded, with Chapman on the mound with no outs, and then Chapman found a way to pitch himself out of it,
We
and
did.
they managed to end up winning that game.
I thought for
Uh,
sure we were going to have a repeat of when he made that stupid face when he was pitching for the Yankees and
yeah.
ultimately blew it for the Yankees against the Astros several years ago. I did find it funny that on the broadcast they did point out like he's not sweating yet, and then he started sweating, and when he started sweating, he was pitching better. I was like, I don't know what this says about the Cuban Missile, but all right. That's
Yeah.
just it. Like I was like, I forgot Aroldis Chapman was on the Red Sox. I was like, this is got to be frustrating if you're a Yankee fans looking at this right now,
I
especially that
did
it's the Red
forget.
Sox.
I did forget, and then I remembered seeing the headline when he signed, and it like because it was a deal. I mean,
Yeah.
whenever you see like a longtime pinstriper switch over to the Red Sox, it's a big deal.
Oh yeah. And I mean, Chapman's moved around, but he did have a pretty sizable part of his career there in New York.
Yeah,
So that's
I.
probably the most recent anyone really remembers him. So,
Mhm.
uh, but yeah, yeah. I will say that that was the last really close game because I mean honestly, the Dodgers completely destroyed the Reds. I don't really expect the Reds to do much. I mean, I just kind of one of those things where they're completely overpowered. I thought maybe if there's one weird series that could go a pesky direction, it was that one. But if I'm sitting here being completely honest with the room, as of right now, we'll see if my opinion changes in a week. I think the Dodgers could win back to back. They're so loaded.
Yeah.
And I just think that you add the fact that they're now also playing this week and not sitting around. I'm like, heck, even apparently the Philadelphia Phillies said something to the extent of they're going to do 2 to 3 like simulated games or something to prepare this week, and they're going to really act like they're still playing. I'm like, yeah, you got to do that because you're probably getting the Dodgers next. I was like, there's no way you guys can come in cold and play them. Like that's insane. Best 3 of 5. Like I thought that was. I was like, yeah, I too would be like, we're not sitting around this week. We are absolutely treating this like we're in the wild card. You know?
So I just to take a look at like how the teams with the bye did last season.
Hmm.
Um, the so last year the teams with buys were the 1 seed Yankees and 2 seed Guardians, and then the 1 seed Dodgers and 2 seed Phillies. The Yankees, nobody swept, which
Yeah.
you know is nobody swept. So that's one thing. But other than the Phillies, everybody else won
Yeah.
their series. So, but it was 4 games, 5 games, 5 games, and then the Phillies lost in 4 to the Mets.
Hmm.
Um, so
Ultimately, the
I
better
think I
team won.
think
Yeah.
definitely it does tend to average out to the better team still wins, but the extended rest might, cause some sleepiness in extended games or extended series, to where it might not necessarily be the case traditionally.
Yeah. And it was interesting. I mean, it's fascinating. We were having a conversation in my place of work this week of, it is. I was explaining in the office today, bro, that we were actually explaining this week, I should say, to someone who wasn't as familiar with the way the postseason for baseball works these days, just someone who doesn't follow baseball as closely, more of a soccer person, wasn't really, not a fan of it, but just doesn't follow it as closely, and was kind of making the point to the room that if the format of the postseason was better, it would probably be more interesting. Well, he was, this person was saying, it's kind of brutal for your season to come down to a best of 3 series. And we were like, yeah, well, guess what? It used to be worse. It was one game. And and there were only 3 division winners, and the one went straight through. And this person could not believe that. I was like, yeah, and it wasn't that long ago. We're talking like in the last 4 years. Like what we have now, which in my opinion is still a much better postseason format, is exponentially better than what we had. I think we would both agree to that. Uh,
Mhm.
I still like this, but right there, what you just said statistically, it's evening out. The one stat that I did hear this morning actually was when it comes to the wild card, not whoever wins that first game so far, it's like 92% goes on to win the whole thing. That being said, that's a very small sample size, so that's averaged out to like the last 4 years of us doing this between these like you know 4 series a year. So I
Yeah.
right. So I'm like, I mean, that's kind of that's I don't know. As someone who deals in sports stats every single day, sometimes a stat is so specific that it really doesn't say anything. It still kind of says, yeah, okay, so the home team or whoever wins the first game, it's not a home team thing. Whoever wins that first game, it's just like any series, it's imperative that you win that first game if you can in the long run. Because typically,
Mhm.
teams don't come back to win, which would be really significant if the guards are able to get it done on Thursday.
Yeah.
But I guess all around the way here, what do you kind of see transpiring? We can kind of do a loose prediction of what's going to happen in the rest of the wild card before we kind of move on, and then we'll talk more baseball as we go, of course, as October marches forward. But I'm just
Yeah.
for this, I'm not asking you to predict the whole thing. I just want to, based on what we know right now on Wednesday evening when we're recording this, what do you think?
Yeah. Uh, as of now, I like I said, the Padres Cubs game is still going on. It's the middle of the eighth. And Padres are up 3-0.
Which, if the
Which
Padres
if
win that game, that'll even up
it,
that series.
yep,
Yep.
that'll be 1-1. And so assuming that that holds, and so that's a series tied 1-1. I would say I probably like the I probably like the Cubs in that one to win. Uh, when is when is that next one? Tomorrow?
It'll
Probably
be
tomorrow.
tomorrow at 3 o'clock
Tomorrow at 3. Yeah, so
Eastern time. Yep.
I would like the Cubs to win that one, and then going back to the Reds Dodgers, I think Dodgers get it done uh
I think Dodgers
tonight.
get it done by the time this show is out
Yes,
on
yes.
Wednesday night. We'll see.
Yeah. And then I think coming back to the Red Sox Yankees, I think Red Sox win tonight. Um
Interesting.
I I I having seen the Yankees play in person, they're so unreliable.
Oh
Like
yeah.
with their bats are really hit or miss for being like as high powered as that batting lineup should be. Like seeing Bellinger, Judge, Jazz, like seeing them all go completely cold all at the same time is the most insane thing. And it's like they're I don't know if they're just not clutch when you need them to be.
Nope.
And so I think relying on them is a problem. And I think there's two things the way the game ended last night can do two things to a team being on the receiving end of it, and it can motivate you to be like, okay, well, we were this close, like we almost had it, let's go out and do it again tomorrow. Or it can be deflating
Hmm.
and say we had the bases loaded with no outs and we got nothing. Like that can be demoralizing and can cause you to come out lose tonight and then your season's over. So
It's interesting
we'll see.
because to quote Jim Nide, James Nahikian, the baseball guy, which we can ask him about this next week, or when he's next on the show, rather. Uh, I don't know how he feels about this nowadays, but I am one of those people that does believe that game to game in baseball, there's really no such thing as momentum. You're only really as good as your next starting pitcher. Um, I think sometimes that's the case. I think sometimes I think there's momentum shifts in baseball within game. I think that's a given. But there's so many individualistic battles and variables within the sport of baseball that it really can just be one guy carrying at times a whole team. Like, for example, Tarek Skubal. I mean, the rest of the Tigers. I mean, Tarek Skubal's the reason they won game one. You know what I mean? And it's not like he can pitch every single game. I'd be sitting here saying the same thing about Paul Skeens if the Pirates ever make the postseason with him. Um, I will say this: the Yankees are weird, dude, because on paper they should be. They're contending. They're yearly contenders. I mean, that's not. I'm not saying they're not that. But whenever they reach the postseason, they have this kind of almost they I'm gonna try to equate it to something. I feel about the Yankees at times how you feel about the Bills in the playoffs. Like some way, somehow, something's just gonna go wrong. And I'm not saying that I feel the same in that like their championship window is closed. I don't feel that way necessarily. I'm not equating it to that way. They're just one of those teams where it's like, yeah, I want to pick the Yankees to win the World Series, but something will go catastrophically
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
Something like last year's 5 run game five complete and utter disaster will happen. And like that scouting report said for the Dodgers last year, just let the Yankees play baseball and they will, quote, self inflict harm. That's how I feel they are. And when you add on the fact that I just don't think Aaron Boone's that good of a manager, I just don't. I just think that they're all talent, no real substance. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I just feel so. I just hear so many Yankee fans complaining about this as well. What was really funny last night was that both extend Boone and fire Boone were trending in the United States because all of the Red Sox fans were like, extend Boone, he's great. And all the Yankees fans were like,
Yeah.
fire him, he's terrible. So
Yeah,
they're the
I
same
think
story every year. It's like they should be better than they are, but they just
right.
fall apart. Like
I totally agree. I mean, you can buy your way to a postseason, but you can't buy your way to a World Series because you need a good manager to be able to cohesively get the team in a way that functions in a series.
you
And
need
along
good
with the fact
fielding,
that you
you
need
need good
everything to go
fundamentals.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly. And so if you don't have 100% buy-in on everything and everything doesn't go right, you could have the most expensive roster in baseball and you won't win anything if it's not being executed the way it's supposed to be.
and that being said, everything you and I just said is why I also would pick the Red Sox to probably clean it up tonight on Wednesday night. Now I might be wrong by the time this goes out. You know, I'm acknowledging that it's just we're doing this when we're doing this, but I think that right there shows the mental mentality of that. Even if the Yankees are able to pull it together tonight, I still like the Red Sox chances more of pulling out the series because I just feel like self doubt creeps in. And when you're the Red Sox, you're like, oh, these guys are our biggest rival. It would be great to knock them out. We already beat them once, you know?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
lean that way in that series as well. Oh, man. I'm going to lean Padres in this, mainly because I just think that they are another team that has all the nucleus of the talent there. They've made additions at the deadline, like my man Mason Miller, who pitched yesterday out of the bullpen. And if they can hang on today, I say this, hopefully I'm not eating my words as they've like lost or something. I'm clicking this. Nope, bottom of the eighth. Padres are still winning. Boring, they win today. I like them actually to defeat the Cubs because I've been kind of not a big believer in the Cubs all year, and I think that the Cubs were the second best team in a really bad division all the way around. That being said, the Reds were able to back their way into the postseason too. So from top to bottom, the bottom of the NL Central was really bad. The top was the Brewers, who were really good. Cubs and Reds were able to sneak in there, but I don't believe that was much saying about the Reds as much as it was the Mets completely screwing up. So, because that would be that spot. That would be that spot.
Yeah.
So, and I'm hate watching the Reds, which is why I'm going to say Dodgers get it done, get them out of here. That's annoying that the Reds made the postseason. Get out of my face with that. Which is why they got their doors blown off on Tuesday. And then what else? What's the last series I have to pick here? Oh yes, yours. Oh man. Oh man, I could eat my words on Thursday. This could be brutal. I I think the guards are going to knock them out. I hate to say it. By the time anyone's hearing this, it could be like, man, Kellen's stupid. I have this feeling. I'm like, things have gone wrong for the Tigers for the last month. Why wouldn't they go wrong again? I just think when it comes right down to it, guards are at home. Some crazy thing. J Ram's going to do something that when it all comes is said and done. This time, what happened in that first game is going to happen again, and this time it's going to go through, and there's going to be some crazy walk off or something, and the guards are going to win. So that's how I think the wild card shakes out. I'm not going to predict any further than that.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's what I got. By the way, do you know how many people asked me I had like six different people today ask me what this hat is. Do you know what this hat is that I have on?
I'm assuming it's the O's. I would guess.
So it is an Orioles affiliate. It is the Chesapeake Bay
Oh,
Sox. It
yeah,
is the
yeah, yeah.
Double A affiliate for the Orioles. They used to be the Bowie Bay Sox. Now they're the Chesapeake Bay Sox. I just like the B in the water. It's great. But
That's cool. That's cool.
yeah, I knew how to rock something baseball today. So that's what we got for baseball right now. Gonna see how it shakes out. I love playoff sports, man. I love playoff baseball. There's nothing like a playoff baseball crowd because it feels like a college football crowd, and that's what we're gonna talk about. As there was another, there's another coach firing this last week
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm telling you, it's gonna be a weekly occurrence. But Another guy who a lot of people in the SEC really thought should never have been a head coach, but apparently was a good guy, is a good guy. Sam Pittman at Arkansas gets shown the door, opening up
Probably about 3 years too late.
probably. Yet again, showing, hey, the Arkansas job's open. What's interesting about Arkansas is that, they have like they in theory have Walmart money, or at least they should. And it's like, well, where is it? Like,
Yeah.
maybe we'll see it as part of this hiring process. But we're really here to talk about their circumstances right now because I had no idea what their actual head coaching coordinator situation was, Casen. Did you? Did you
I
know about this?
I remember when he was hired because it was a big deal when he was hired.
Bobby Petrino's back, everybody. Um, yes, that Bobby Patrino. Uh the the biggest probably walking meme in all of like college football, at least of recent history. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
when did he get hired there? I'm pulling it up right
I
now.
think 2 years ago.
Yep, 2024. He was the OC and quarterbacks coach. And now he's the interim head coach. Well, yep, he returns to Arkansas, where he's been, and he was the head coach there from 2008 to 2011. Bobby Petrino, Casen.
So
Yep,
I remember having the thought too when he was hired because it was a big deal that they hired him. So we'll skip over the particulars. You can look it up online if you want to know the details of it. But Bobby Petrino was fired for cause the first time he was at Arkansas,
sure was.
and the fact that the president and the athletic director were okay bringing him back as an assistant, knowing full well that if they ever fired Sam Pittman, he was going to be the interim head coach.
Yep,
They knew that was going to be the case, and so putting yourself in that situation to
all
where
part of the plan.
the guy you fired for cause a decade ago is now back behind the wheel of the program and like trying to get the job again. Like this is nuts. Like
Watch them rattle off like 7 straight wins. You're like,
I want so bad for them to go on a run to have to hire him
yes.
just to see that circus.
Oh,
Like
insane. Listen, if you're not as familiar with Bobby Petrino, I will say that one of the things that literally, if you just Google his name, probably, I just did it. The first thing that is going to pop up is probably going to be his famous slash infamous press conference when he was giving a press conference after getting in a motorcycle accident. He has a neck brace on. Like it's the most definitive and it's one of the most iconic sports images I would argue in like
yeah.
at least in the last 3 decades. It is an iconic
Yeah.
sports image. And we didn't know why he got in that wreck, but I mean, this thing was memed and parodied to death. Blue Mountain State did a whole episode where literally exactly what happened to him, the circumstances of his life, happens to the head coach, and he's in the same neck brace. Like it was like on SNL. It was a big deal when this happened. Okay,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was a big deal once it came out who he was with the motorcycle accident. Okay. That happened a long time ago. That was almost 2 decades ago that happened. Okay. That was when I was in high school. Okay. So it was what it was and is what it is. But when you talk about when you precede the fact that if you didn't know though, he was at Louisville for a long time there. He ended up going back to Louisville too, actually. He ended up getting the Louisville head coaching job again. Left for Atlanta, ended up coaching, I want to say what, 10 games or something for Atlanta
13.
Falcons. Okay. What'd you say? 14?
13.
13. Okay. Left under the cover of darkness, went to Arkansas, ended up at Louisville again, was at Missouri State, UNLV, Texas A&M, and now he's back at Arkansas. So this is literally the second school he was at in the South where he had sustained success for a while. That's doing this again. On the and just be clear, it is humorous on the onset. It's funny and everything. But in a world where West Virginia also has Rich Rodriguez back on the sideline, you are kind of seeing this. I don't know what it says about the integrity or whatever. When there isn't like I don't know what it says, but that just goes to show the pressure of getting like someone who can win, that schools are willing to go back to someone who may have unceremoniously left if it means, yeah, but think about the peak. It's like, yeah, but the peak was 10 years ago. The world's different now. So,
Yeah,
any thoughts on any of
I mean,
that?
I think so. I think that's a very good point of looking at Rich Rod at West Virginia and probably Patrino at Arkansas at the same time in 2025.
Yeah.
Uh, I think what it more says is that you're seeing certain athletic directors maybe put on the hot seat themselves, and so that they feel like some moves have to be made with their teams and their programs, and they have to yield results.
Yeah.
And rather than taking a risk on a first time young no name coach that hasn't proven anything, they think the safer option to get to a bowl game that will at least keep your job is somebody who's had success before, especially there,
Yeah.
and is a reliable bet to maybe not tear the program to shreds,
Yeah. Oh,
if that makes sense.
and
If you
he's an
go back
interim
to
head coach.
thinking
Okay,
like,
he's an interim
yeah,
head coach. They haven't
right.
hired him to like just straight up come
Well,
back like Louisville did.
I mean, yeah, but I'm even saying hiring him as the OC last year, like, because
Right.
that was a, I'm sure there was like a board of trustees meeting over if they were going to be okay with him coming back or not,
100%. Boosters, whole thing.
because because I the context of how he got fired drew ire to that entire university, and that
100%.
was like a legal problem.
It was.
So like that was stunning. Like it would be it's kind of in the same way of like how is Hugh Freeze still employed by
Yeah,
anyone? Like it's also
I
more
agree.
hilarious of like Hugh Freeze got fired from Ole Miss and he went to Liberty. Like okay,
Yep.
Liberty's turning the blind eye to his.
Well, and there were rumors that like Hugh Freeze also had his own fans leak things about him to get him out of there. That's all rumors, but but I agree with you. I think it ultimately comes down to we're judging these people who are coaches and everything as rightfully so, because I think I'm one of those people and you are one of those people that thinks that integrity should be part of your hiring process. It should be, probably more so than it is even now. That being said, it there are people above those people that also have a lot of pressure on them. Because you mentioned athletic directors, presidents too. Like, these presidents and everything. I mean, the most powerful people at a university are the board of trustees. That's a known thing. Uh, and all of those people have stakes as well. They have people that they answer to. So
Mhm.
yeah, and want the best for each university, institution, whatever as well.
Yeah,
So I am
but
going to be watching this. I go ahead, go ahead.
well, I was just saying, I don't think Bobby's going to be getting the job,
I
no
don't
matter
either.
what. But I mean, just names to watch. I mean, you got Dan Mullen, you got Jimbo, you got a lot of like retread SEC guys who probably could do well at a place like Arkansas. That the expectations aren't exactly winning a title. Like
Right?
if you if like a Dan Mullen or a Jimbo Fisher gets to Arkansas and buys a huge transfer class with the Walmart money and gets them to
Yeah.
the playoff, they're getting the building named after them. Like I don't like it's like
Well,
that's
I
just the
mean,
level of expectations in Arkansas.
and I was even trying to think. I was even trying to think like I don't know Darren McFadden. I'm trying to think of the last time that there was like or like Arkansas football was like
Mhm.
was legit. You know what I mean? Because really they've been more known for basketball as of late. Um,
Yeah.
so we'll see. That's another one of those situations where I'm just like hire Trey Lamb. I'm just I'm throwing it out there. But
Yeah.
honestly, if you hired an up and coming coordinator who is looking to be a good head coach and legitimately you guys just go all in on the roster, like it's the SEC. Anything can happen. I mean, I don't know. It's never been if you're willing to fork over the money, it's never been easier to get your team better in 1 year. So and put your people in
Yeah.
charge.
Yeah.
So
I mean
yeah.
that is very true. I mean we've talked about it before. It's just like with the transfer portal and the ability to pay the players now, there has never been an easier time to come in and turn your roster around
At least turn the roster
immediately.
around, even if that doesn't mean immediate winning.
Yeah.
Um, transitioning, I got to say, speaking of not immediate winning and having a roster, let's talk about the last week of college football and then kind of
Yeah.
where we're headed, because I do want to hear your take on what undoubtedly has been a big story. The result of last week's Penn State Oregon game, a game that I don't know, I can't remember if I was on record on this show, but I was on record in like my life saying that I thought Penn State was going to get it done. I don't know why I thought that because that is not what happened. Uh, Case, you get to watch you get to watch a decent amount of this game.
I did.
I did too.
And I it I actually like I watched I think most of it, and then I missed Penn State coming back, and then I watched overtime.
It was 45
But
minutes of utter boredom.
I kid you not, I kid you not. We're in second overtime. Oregon goes down and scores, and then Penn State gets the ball, immediate interception, and I audibly laughed so hard. And I'm like, yeah, there you go.
There it is.
That's the Drew Allen experience. So I look, I mean, it I first of all, my immediate thought and my
Immediate
problem,
interception. It was amazing.
like when the game starts, my automatic thought and like my problem with the infamous Penn State whiteout is, why are you having a whiteout and not being the team in white?
Oh, I've always thought that. Yeah.
Because
I've
like
said that forever.
it's so
Yeah.
bizarre to see them in their standard blue and white uniforms, and then Oregon's the one in white, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense to me.
I've said that for years to multiple Penn State people, and I've said, I'm like, has anyone ever even floated that idea out there? Like, it's one jersey swap. You guys have two uniforms. Like, that would be really cool that if that one game a year you guys actually wore white at home, it would be cool. But whatever, yeah.
I don't think any opposing team would care. I mean, whatever. Like,
No, well, and I think I don't know. That's a thing within itself, but I think the whole what game is the whiteout thing is a whole overplayed thing. I have a different opinion of Penn State lore than you do, being from Pennsylvania
mhm.
and zero ties to Penn State. Penn State's been an annoyance most of my life as a sports fan, but I will say that generally I do hope they do well because I have friends who are alumni who are great fans of Penn State. I'm not talking like they pay attention to Penn State everything, okay? They're like if the team's doing well, like I know people who watch the volleyball team win. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we're talking good fans, not just like your fly by night Penn State alumni. So or fans rather, real alumni who care. So that being said, I do think that the conversation needs to be had though now, and the fact that James Franklin was in the presser essentially apologizing again, which was a really weird tone to take. But I think now the sample size is big enough to where it's sort of like, and I'm not advocating for anything, but I think you have to have that conversation of this. It felt like up to now, like, oh, you're our guy, you're the reason we're good every year. This loss really felt like, oh no, like you're not winning enough, and you really can't win these games. Like it really felt like this was really the time, the aura where that's changed. I'm not as familiar with the Penn State lore to know whether or not the whole Fire Franklin thing has happened after other games. I'm sure it has because it's been long enough now. But if Penn State with this loaded of a roster can look this unenthused and this beatable, quite frankly, by the teams at the top and lose a game this early in the season at home in this environment where they should be able to win a game like this, then that's your ceiling with James Franklin. That's your ceiling. And I put that more on him than I do Drew Aller because to me, Drew Aller is just the latest guy in a long list of mediocre Penn State quarterbacks who usually are like the third option in the Big Ten because they couldn't play at the other power schools. That's Drew Aller to a T. Penn State usually has the best running back room in the country. That has remained true. But to me, it falls on the regime at the top. So I said a lot. I'll let you talk. I'm sorry.
I I mean, here's my thing. I there's been a lot of discourse about James Franklin for years and years, and constantly losing the big games. We now know what James Franklin is, and I think that's an established fact at this point.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, what James Franklin is what Penn State is as a program.
Mm.
Because my biggest problem is schools and teams like Penn State and fan bases like the Lion fans not understanding their place in college football. You haven't won a championship since the 80s. You've been
Yeah.
very like if you look back at Paterno's record basically since the last title in 86, it's basically James Franklin.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would fire James Franklin to hire who? Who in the world is going to consistently be at least as good as James Franklin, if not better, guaranteed?
I'm going to say something that you saying that about Penn State makes me think of the state of college football now versus what it was. Penn State should have never joined the Big Ten. They should have remained an independent like Notre Dame. I'm dead
I
serious. I'm dead serious.
uh-huh.
Because
Because here's the
they had
thing.
that aura
Here's the
about
thing.
them prior to joining the Big Ten in the 90s. And think about how they would be today and how easy they would essentially have an easy path like Notre Dame if they were still independent. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, yeah. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
So
Warm take,
the
hot take. I don't know.
so Penn State won they were at 12-0 in 1986 and won a championship.
Yep.
1994, they went 12-0 in the Big Ten, won the Rose Bowl, did not get crowned the champion.
Yep.
It's an unclaimed national championship for them.
Correct. Yep.
And so you look at their schedule like as an independent, and then you look at their schedule once they joined the Big Ten in 1993, and it's like you'd think they probably could have maybe done more as an independent
Yeah.
than like signing up to lose to Michigan and Ohio State every year.
Right.
Like,
If and now they have that clear like third little brother
yeah,
relationship with those programs and a whole bunch of weird and a whole bunch of like inconsistent rivalries that really don't make any sense. Because apparently Michigan State's one of their rivals and whatever. Like they consider Ohio State to be their biggest rival, yet Ohio State definitely considers Michigan to be a bigger rival.
there was that time period
Yeah,
in the 2010s to when like the Michigan State Penn State rivalry was for who was the third little brother.
correct.
And it was like who was number
Correct.
three?
Who was three or
Yeah.
four, right? And then you had, of course, they had lots of really good matchups in their independent days with Pitt. That kind of has gone like this. Pitt cares more
Yeah.
about that rivalry than Penn State does, as it should be. That's just how it should be. But I'm serious. Like if Penn State was able to say they were in the Big Ten for every sport and they remained an independent with football and they just committed to that, they would have the same scheduling power now and power in the playoff as Notre Dame. And in reality, other than being able to have more control over their schedule, they probably would virtually be similar to what they are now. But I don't know. I just think that if they had that extra thing about them, they would be able to win some of those recruiting and maybe NIL battles. Maybe not having the foresight to see it, but I really think that Penn State is one of those places where they could have just poured their resources in and stayed how Notre Dame is now. Because think about how much power Notre Dame has over their schedule, their route to the
I
playoff. It's just interesting to think about now.
it would be very interesting to do the thought exercise of like where could they be now.
Similar to
But
probably they are now, really. But
I
yeah,
think for one, they don't have the resources Notre Dame does financially to
correct.
support that. Um, but I do agree with the thought of like joining the Big Ten put them in the position to establish themselves as a little brother to the bigger programs in the conference,
Right.
which automatically brought them into the recruiting conversation and automatically lowered their their ability to get recruits because everybody knows you as the lesser program. And so, whereas
Mhm.
if they were just still independent and this cool independent thing, or even in the ACC and like the best ACC program, like
Yeah,
could you imagine if they like had joined the Big East or something and then that formed into the ACC and they were
correct.
just dominating that entire coast?
I've done that thought experiment with my friends who didn't quite grow up with sports to the direct knowledge I did, but Penn State was almost a Big East school, and ultimately they wanted to pick The Big East wanted to pick Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh was a better school for basketball, and it
Yeah.
was a basketball centered conference at the time. Otherwise, if Penn State had been better at basketball, Penn State would have been in the Big East. Now, do I think they would still be in the Big Ten now? Probably, just because the Big East splintered apart and it was that whole thing.
Yeah.
But could I have seen a situation where they get folded into the ACC instead? Yeah, definitely. To where they're kind of one of those fringe ACC schools now,
It's
because
like
you forget though, people forget they had rivalries with Boston College, they had rivalries with Syracuse, they had rivalries with those obviously Pitt. Like I could have
yeah.
definitely seen them go that direction.
It's
Miami,
it's it's
obviously.
like it's like Nebraska and the Big 12.
Yes,
It's like they would be far better off in a different conference where they can actually be the best team in that conference
correct.
because they will never be the best team in the Big 10 ever. And
I
that's just
agree with you.
never going to happen.
No, at
And so
least not
why
in
are you
at
in the
least not in
conference?
football. At least not in
Right,
football.
right, right, exactly. So it's like why are you here?
So, not to harp too much on Penn State, but it all needs to be said. Penn State's not dead or anything. They still have a path to the playoff, and I expect them to be one. It's just that when the time comes, I know they're going to lose that game probably. Once they hit a team that's an upper tier, like an Oregon, Ohio State, or the teams above them. So, getting back though, I wanted to kind of get back to some other stuff. Uh, I we saw what was the most insane field storming in the history of college football this past week on the Friday night, right after we were done recording our
Yeah.
show, in such a way that I was like, "Oh, so did all of the Florida State players get stampeded to death?" I sure hope not. Apparently, and I got it confirmed. Apparently, there were no injuries. Everyone was okay. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, that was the wildest field storming I've ever seen as Virginia upset Florida State. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean it's about it's only fair that after we got done showering Florida State with praise, they go and get upset by Virginia.
Yep,
But
immediately.
yeah, I think uh, uh yeah, the field storming was crazy because it was like immediately once that play is over and he does and it's done, the entire student section's on the field before anybody can even move.
It
Like
was
you
like
just get
zombie apocalypse.
yeah, it was
Like it was
crazy.
crazy. I mean, oh man, yeah, it was wild, man. It was great. Uh, Terrifying if you're a player in that whole thing, and
Yeah,
probably an employee. Fun if you're a student, probably, at least in their moment. But yeah,
yeah,
crazy stuff. Moving on here. Wanted to say Ohio State did beat Washington. I said that they should be on upset alert. Ultimately, the game was very, very boring. It was just Ohio State wearing them down, is all it
mhm.
was, and it was very clear that that is how it was going to be. It's like, okay, yeah, this is how this is going to go. Like you can just kind of see it coming. Thoughts on the Buckeyes?
Yeah. I mean, I everybody seemed to float the idea that it was a potential upset spot. Traveling out west, kind of a weird game, in kind of a weird lull of your schedule. Um, and it was good to see that I think the coaches knew that they knew that
Yeah,
you couldn't take it for granted and you had to be prepared. And look, I mean 24-6, not overly impressive on the scoreboard, but considering the fact that a lot of people thought you might lose, a win is a win. Get out of there and come back home.
and of course the Lane train went through LSU as Lane won the battle of Landry and Witt, whatever his name is.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
ultimately gets it done. Hey, the LSU once again loses a game like that. However, I feel like if this was the other way around, we'd be saying, of course, the Lane train went off the tracks. Like whenever either of those teams lose, it tends to be humorous, is all.
I mean it's kind of like an unstoppable force versus an immovable object.
Yes.
Like yeah, I mean Brian Kelly losing a big game. Oh, shocking.
And then following it up with a very awkward press conference, usually.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
yeah,
And then like now the real like thing with the Lane train is now uh he's probably going to go and lose by 30 to Georgia in a couple weeks.
probably.
That might be pretty much where that goes off the rails. But
Yep.
oh goodness, they got They got Georgia and Oklahoma in back-to-back weeks at the end of the month. Yikes.
Interesting. All
Good
right.
luck with that.
Good luck with that indeed. And then before we kind of move on here, I wanted to just take a quick look up down here. There was Well, just because we did talk about him last week, Indiana did not blow the doors off Iowa. It's a notorious place to. That was actually a really good game. I will say it was actually a solid game. Iowa put up a valiant effort, but Indiana remains perfect at 5-0, 2-0. I listen, and then of course Illinois was able to bounce back, and they actually stormed the field after beating USC, which was a little weird, but you know what? For the namesake, Illinois beating USC historically in college football, that's a pretty big deal. So I get it. I'm like, it is just a conference
Yeah.
game though now, guys. It is. So yeah, I mean that was kind of your recap of your top 25. I will say I had a really bad weekend of college football, watching both of these teams basically get their doors blown off. As Bowling Green came out against the best team in the MAC, at least so far, didn't look great. Had a barrage kind of towards the end of the game. Made it a
Yeah.
little interesting down the stretch, but ultimately BG did not look great down the stretch. So we'll see. Yeah, that's your litmus test. They're 0-1 in the Big Ten or Big Ten, 0-1 in the MAC immediately. And oh man, Syracuse absolutely got destroyed at home. It was not a good day. It was a very, very bad day. And I swear
Yeah.
that Casen was my version of course, we showered Syracuse and we made them our cover last week and literally auto and stuff and on the little, thing that I put out on social media. And of course they lose 38-3 to Duke. Of course that happened. So
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
aggravating. But hey, so goes college football when you're a fan of some teams that are kind of mid sometimes. Thoughts on any of that?
Yeah, I mean, I that's generally, just kind of how it goes with a program like Syracuse. It's up and down and
I'm not burying BG though.
yeah.
I'm not
No,
burying
I
either team.
mean,
I'm not burying either
yeah,
team.
no, I mean, like BG for example. I mean, okay, we played a tough game at the probably best team in the conference's place.
Yeah.
I mean, we ended up kind of trying to fight back a little bit, but I mean, it was a measuring stick game, and I think that's about how the game would have gone last year. I think, and so I think we're the level being like we are where we were last year. I think is close. So we'll see how the rest of the season plays out, but I don't think we're you know that terrible.
No, I agree. Well, and it's odd because there are times now when I feel more like college football, how I do the NFL, to where I'm not sounding the alarm for one loss, even if it is like a 31 point loss. It's kind of like that's kind of the way it goes now. Like you're going to have a big emotional victory against
Yeah,
Clemson and then lose to
yeah.
Duke at home. It's just how it goes. Not to
I
mention
mean,
not to mention you lost your starting quarterback for the year. So
yeah, that is true. I
like
mean, you probably could have just predicted that. Like,
right.
okay, big win and then loss of your quarterback. Yeah, they're going to get killed. Like,
Yeah, I
you
mean
probably could
even
have just expected that.
even if it's in the
Um,
dome, like
but yeah,
For Bowling
it's
Green, if they're putting up 20 points against the defending MAC champions, I still like Bowling Green's chances against the lower tier of the conference. Which, let's be real, the bottom of the MAC is usually the worst in college football. They're down there with the other group of five,
mhm.
bad teams. So usually it's an ultimate mediocre off out of everybody to see who's going to be last. So we'll see. I still think I don't know what Bowling Green is. And that's the biggest question for me right now. And also Pudge the Cat wasn't there.
Yeah, that's probably why they lost.
Probably why they lost.
Um, yeah. Do we want to shift to look at just a couple of games here coming up this
For
weekend?
sure. And then we can wrap it up with
Uh,
some NFL.
one of the bigger games this weekend, just kind of on paper, is Vanderbilt at Alabama.
How about
Um,
that, huh?
could be a fun one there. 5-0 Vanderbilt coming to Tuscaloosa.
And in a game where I think this will be pretty even up. I think this will be
Mhm.
even up. I mean, honest to goodness, Vandy's a good team. I really think that Alabama's going to want some get back from last year. And quite frankly, like it's got to feel great if you're honestly, it's got to feel great if you are a Vandy fan that one, this is a team that is genuinely great for, a football program that's
Yeah.
had to be the bottom of the SEC for so long. But also, like you're going into Alabama, you could totally win this game. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
Alabama's favored by 10.5. That's what I was looking for over here. I was turning my attention over here. But I think this will go down to the wire. I really do, especially considering that Vanderbilt, for the first time maybe in their program's history, is in no way intimidated by the Tide.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they
Listen,
already
they're
got them.
unintimidating. They are.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. I mean, I
yeah.
5-0, number 16 Vanderbilt coming in to try and beat the Tide again. I
Hmm.
mean, that's a good place to be if you're a Commodore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What else you got this weekend?
Uh, I don't think there's a ton of ranked matchups this weekend. The other games that I'm seeing are kind of more sporadic. I don't know if there's any other ranked matchups that I'm seeing.
Well, there is one that is going to take place. I'm just trying to see here what day it's going to be on. We are going to get. It was going to be a bigger deal last week. We are getting Miami and Florida State this week. Which last week, if you recall, I made a big deal about
Oh, yeah.
Miami at Florida State is what it's going to be. That's 7:30. That was probably going. I honestly don't know. Do we know where game day is going to be?
Uh, I think we should. Let me double check. I didn't catch it. I Tuscaloosa.
All right. So there you go. You return to Alabama. You get Saban getting back to Alabama, and of course, yep, I got it as well. Tuscaloosa. If Florida State's still undefeated, they're headed to Florida State, but they're not. It'll be a big game regardless. But Virginia took the wind out of the sails. Shout out to Brandon Walker. He's the one who predicted the Virginia game. And then, of course, this week we get Clemson and North Carolina. Casen, the ultimate mid
Yeah,
off. This is that one.
I I cool.
We got
Have
the
fun.
yep, yep. It's gonna be the good one. So, and then just to talk about them real quick, just because I always like to check who's going on as far as like the Big Ten goes. Minnesota comes to town for a night game at Ohio State. And looking
Yeah.
around here, Penn State will be headed out to the Rose Bowl to play winless UCLA in what is probably just going to be a get right game for them, I would imagine. The battle for the Purdue Cannon is this weekend, Illinois at Purdue. So see if Illinois can put it together for a Purdue team that's had some good wins. They're pesky. They're on their way back up. And we have Wisconsin going to Michigan for what is going to be a trouncing, I have no doubt, of the Michigan Wolverines. As Luke Fickle moves to my top of list, the second to top of list behind Billy Napier of weekly watch of are they going to get fired? That's
Yeah,
my that's my wrap up of the Big Ten upcoming week.
I would say there is a non-zero chance that this is Luke Fickle's final game coaching at Wisconsin. Yeah,
Making that
that's
prediction full on,
that's
or
um I don't no, just because if you were gonna fire him, I feel like you would have done that after the Maryland game when they had a bye in there, but
mhm.
they didn't. So
It's now October.
I think at this point they probably won't.
I'm under the belief that if you have not, I would say you have maybe 1 to 2 more weeks. I'd say if you don't fire a coach within about the first couple weeks of October, you might as well leave them there for the rest of the season, and it probably isn't going to happen during the season. And listen, you and I have talked a lot about coach firings over the course of the last like 3 weeks on this cast, and about it in general, like just to each other and friends and everything. I don't relish anyone getting fired. Okay, we're not trying to make light of any of that. It's just that it's the business of college sports, and quite frankly, these people are all compensated very well. It's just, I don't know. the amount of money that is tossed around specifically for these guys to not coach a team anymore is pretty wild. And I think it's just a matter of, like you've been talking about, Casen, what puts you in the best position for the next guy is really
Yeah.
what the question's about. It's not so much about, listen, we know we're bad. We know things aren't great. Uh, how can we position ourselves to get a guy who can make them not bad again? So
Hmm.
that's what we got. I want to wrap it up with the NFL.
Yeah, let's get to it.
So I want to hear you talk about like this last bit we're going to talk about today, wrapping it up with some league talk. Uh, it let's just I want to hear you talk about this. I we had two pieces of QB news in our division this week. One was that Lamar Jackson's gonna be out for like 3 weeks. I missed that. I actually didn't see that till like Wednesday morning of this week. Dylan Gabriel, though, is gonna start in London against the Vikings for your Cleveland Browns. At least for now, still your Cleveland Browns. Thoughts on him being, I don't know what, number 41 since 1999, whatever it's been.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, we'll see. I mean, we'll see.
And I want this to be a serious take too, by the way. I want to hear your actual
I
thoughts
mean,
about this. Yeah.
my serious take is that like when we saw, whatever of him in the preseason, he looked okay. Um, he is very short, so there's a very big concern there.
Mm.
He's a lefty, so that's weird. Um, but I think I believe I people are tossing this around. I don't know if it's a confirmed fact, but he's the first NFL quarterback to make his debut internationally, um,
That is a cool stat.
which is interesting. Uh, to start a game at Tottenham before you start a game in Cleveland is hilarious. Um,
That is
and
something.
it's a very unfortunate position to put him in because this is like a week too early. Because what now he has to go over to London, start a game against a team who's been in Europe for a week already,
Yeah.
and who just got beaten and they're mad and angry, and they're not bad, like they're a decent Vikings team, and so I don't get it because I feel like if you were going to make the move, you should have made the move last week, but you make it. I don't know. I just would have done it next week and let Flacco be the one to get killed by the Vikings in London. Like I don't quite understand making this move now.
Mm.
Um, Especially because then he's going to turn around and play the Steelers coming off a bye the next week. So it's just like, good luck, buddy.
I saw this and I was like, he becomes the latest starting quarterback for the Browns, and I was like, yeah, that is kind of brutal that he's got to do it over in London, just with the travel and everything, and the Vikings are already going to be there a week and everything. It was already going to be a tough
Mm,
game for the Cleveland Browns. I think that this move was made out of the fact that Flacco has just been really bad, and when the Browns have lost, they've lost really badly. Like it's just
mm.
been brutal. Like the
I
one win was unexpected, and the Browns otherwise have pretty much gotten blown out. So I just feel like you got to do something. If you're
no,
serious about seeing what you have this season, you got to get that going now.
I definitely get it and I understand it, especially because it was sort of reaching a point to where it was untenable,
Right.
as far as the fan base goes. Of which after Sunday particularly, people were having a lot of conversations about like what has become abundantly clear at this point, which is the original plan coming into the season was to start Kenny Pickett
Mm,
and then have Joe Flacco as the backup. Um, and then when Kenny got injured, they were
yeah.
put in this position to where they didn't know when he was going to be back. They didn't, and they had these two quarterbacks that they just drafted, and so they had to get rid of somebody. And I don't know why you don't just I as for the question as to like why Shadur's even on the roster, I don't know. Because like if your plan was to start Kenny from the beginning, why would you not just cut Shadur?
Well,
Like I don't understand if you liked Kenny so much that he was the first one you went out and got and he was going to be your starter, why don't you just make sure to keep him until he's healthy so you can start him? Like I don't understand that.
I don't either, and I will add to that. Shador must not be that horrible of a distraction. I don't follow the Browns day to day like you might, so it doesn't seem like that's that bad. But
Oh, well, no, he is. He is.
okay, so he is.
I mean,
So
he's the third quarterback on the roster, and he's making headlines every day with just stupid stuff that
okay,
is just
so
like today he did this thing to where he was giving a press conference and he was like miming his responses and not
mhm.
talking to the media. And
Okay,
it's just
so
like
yeah,
every day it's different headlines
so he is
about
doing that
like,
stuff.
yeah, it's just like,
Okay,
what are you doing?
I don't know. Again, I hadn't really paid attention. I don't get my ESPN alerts and things like that are for my teams. So I don't get that same stuff for the Cleveland Browns. So that's why I half love talking to you about it on our show so that you can tell me what the latest at the circus
I
is.
he hasn't really been, but it's just been like ramping up more and more slowly throughout the season. And
Right.
then we reach a point to where Flacco gets benched, Gabriel starts, and then he's still the third quarterback behind Flacco.
Right.
And then now it's like the floodgates of the Shador experience open, and it's like, okay, are you just begging to get traded or cut at this point to
Where
go
I yeah,
somewhere else?
right, like
Like,
where I'm going with this is that if Shadur was just gonna be this whole side experiment anyway, why invite the distractions? Like I guess
yeah,
that's the biggest question I would have for like if you didn't actually draft this kid with his baggage without an actual plan of how to use him, like I'd be sitting here if he was gonna start this game, I'd be like, okay, so they were truly like, okay, Shadur's available, let's see what we got in him. When they announced it was going to be Dylan Gabriel, I was like, okay, so why do you have Shadur then? Like, I just, I don't, I'm kind of with him in that regard of, he's going to be a pain. So I don't know. If there's no plan for him other than him just being on the QB roster for now, I don't know. Is it one of those things where the season's a wash anyway, and so start Dylan for a while, and then
well,
when he gets injured, put Shadur in? Like, I still am in this
so
place of okay, so what week are they going to put Shadur in? Like, is this going to be November's experiment, and we're going to see what crap we have with Dylan Gabriel? I don't know what the plan is, and I don't know if there is one.
there's apparently there's a story that came out I think a couple weeks ago that I believe is confirmed by Shadur or Dion. That was that the Ravens tried to draft him, and he said, "I'm not coming to Baltimore to be a backup," and so they didn't. And the funniest part about that is that if he did, he'd be the start. He would be the starting quarterback this
He'd
weekend.
be starting this weekend for the Baltimore Ravens because he probably would have been the number two on that route. Yep, I mean, yeah,
He's better than Cooper Rush. Like, what
he's
are we
better than
talking
Cooper
about?
Rush. Yeah. I don't know. I was just curious to see what you're as a fan maybe thought that the
It's
circumstances were.
my 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 overall my thoughts are like I he wasn't really that big of a distraction for a while, and then it's just like at the time to where his irrelevancy has kind of come more and more into play. It's like he's lashing out by being the distraction. I don't. It feels like he's starting to make a play to try and get free from the team, and I don't. It's like, bro,
That's
you're
impressive.
you're
That's
you're a
impressive one
fifth
month into
round
the year.
rookie. Like, what are we doing? Like,
Yes. I wanted to go ahead and mention this that it looks like the Ravens could be straight up bad, which is funny for us.
well, they are very injured. I mean, they are
They
very
are,
injured all
but
over the
one
place.
way or another that
Don't
equals
care.
what yeah, I was gonna say that one way or another that equals not winning the division. I'm already starting to see the great. I already sent one to you. I thought I sent it to you. I'm already seeing the great memes of the Steelers whenever it is that we lead the division, which is most years around this time. I'm not saying we're going to win it. The Steelers looked okay in Ireland. Uh, I more to the point. It was very cool to see the first game played in Ireland. Steelers won it. The pageantry of that is just cool, and it was awesome hearing like uh, the local radio broadcasting the Irish accents for the game.
Mhm.
Go check that out if you didn't get a chance to see it. Like DK Metcalf's touchdown is incredible because the play by play has an Irish accent and the color guy has an American accent. So it's awesome to hear the game called by people in other parts of the world. Um, and people have said that about soccer with the people with American accents, So it's just kind of cool to see and hear that all that. We also had our first tie of the season, and I want to say the first tie in the last couple of years. And hilariously, it was the Sunday night football game between Packers and the Cowboys. 40-40 was the tie. And when you consider the way NFL overtime is these days, I'm almost it's almost like for me it's like 60-40 it's going to be a tie. Cuz you get one quarter and you essentially it's like okay, one good drive and another good drive and if we don't get another one it's like well, that's basically a quarter. So,
Yeah.
thoughts on the first tie of the year?
Uh, yeah, I mean, it was a big hyped up game because it was the Micah Parsons returning to Dallas thing,
Yep.
and uh, way higher scoring than you would have thought.
Yes.
Because you would have expected the Packers defense to be better, and you would have probably expected the Cowboys offense to be worse. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think definitely we now can solidly say, especially without Micah Parsons, that the Cowboys defense is terrible.
Yep.
Because they've done that they let Russ drop like 30 something on him. So yeah. I I think there needs to be a better way to get rid of these ties. I mean, make the period longer because nobody wants a tie in the NFL. Like what are we talking about
Well,
here?
I almost think that they should make it like a full 20 minutes because I don't think it's even 15. I said it's a quarter. I'm pretty sure it's
I think
10
it's 10.
minutes.
It's
Yeah,
10.
it's 10 minutes. Like it needs to at least be a quarter. I think that extra five would go a long way because 10 minutes just isn't enough time when you consider how long an NFL drive takes. So
No.
that's the one change I'd make to NFL overtime. I don't want to have the overtime conversation again because every single year and anytime there's a tie, the same thing is said by everybody. You can't do a college overtime rules in the NFL because it would cause the games to go too long. And the NFL wants that slate done before the 425. That is something the league has never even pretended to ever budge on. Like
Yeah.
they want that slate over, and they're not going to do that. And they've even said, yes, playoffs are different. Yes, of course, playoffs are different. But I mean, even the NHL does the shootout. Like they're like, yeah, in the playoffs, we get it. You play on, we get it. But they are not going to do that. And when you consider player safety, they are never going to have college football overtime rules in the NFL. So anytime it's gotten to the point now, dude, where anytime someone suggests that, I almost have this, okay, you're just not educated then on the game because this is said every time, and it's such a dead argument that has a million reasons why it's not going to happen, even though you might be making a logical reason again for it to be the case. So
Hmm.
that was that. And I wanted to go up here and kind of ask you a question. So I think we have two undefeated teams in the NFL still. Do you know who they are? Off the top of your head? I'm looking right at them. So
No, no. I could figure it out.
Philadelphia Eagles,
Oh
remaining
yeah, yeah, the Eagles.
the reigning champs over in the NFC, and the Buffalo Bills are still undefeated. And
Yep, yep.
we have two teams that are still winless. Can you name me those two teams?
Uh, uh,
Once again, one in the AFC, one in the NFC.
the Giant? No, the Giants won.
Giants won. Yep.
I
Beat the Chargers. That's
Dolphins?
kind of
No,
the game that did this.
no, I can't think of it.
Just double checking. Oh, take that back. There's three teams actually. I was wrong. I was wrong. There's three teams. So the New York Jets are still winless.
Oh, yeah.
The Tennessee Titans are still winless. And scored 0 points actually this past week. So, yeah, the Tennessee Titans and the Saints, who gave a decent game to
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah.
Bills, are still winless. Out of those teams, which one do you think is most likely to go winless this year? That's my last question for the show today.
Uh, I
Because the
I
Bills aren't going
almost
undefeated. I'm not even going to entertain that. Neither are the Eagles.
I I I want to say the Saints,
Hmm.
but it could, but yeah, I want to say the Saints just because I think there's so many terrible things about that roster, um, and the quarterback situation that I don't know. I feel like maybe the Jets and Titans could luck into a win somewhere, maybe, but
I think so.
I don't know the schedules in front of me.
I think the Jets and Titans have enough of a nucleus that it's like, okay, yeah, they're gonna win a game. The Saints, I think, truly are like were like a hey, let's tank for Arch type thing, and now it's looking like that's probably not even going to be a good
Yeah.
strategy considering that. That's my other takeaway from this year's football season so far is that last year's class wasn't good. This year's quarterback class isn't going to be good again in college football, and honestly, it might only get worse as time goes on. Uh, that's what I think. So. So far as the calendar turns to October, those are my takeaways with football as a whole right now.
Oh. Well, I guess actually the Saints play the Giants this weekend, so I think the Saints might end up
Mm.
winning a game there. Um,
Could be one of your best chances. And I'm sure there's more. I just don't have the
the
Saints in front of
Saints
me.
are favored by 1.5 right now.
There you have it.
Um,
There you have it. There you have it. Well, that's
uh,
that's what I got. Go ahead.
well, I did just
Talking about
want
the
to, I
slate
guess, touch
ahead.
on the Chiefs beat the Ravens and looked pretty good doing it in Xavier Worthy's first game back. Uh,
This is true.
so I think the league is gonna be have a problem if the Chiefs are back to the Chiefs again. It was I from what I have seen basically their best offensive game since 2023. Um,
Yep.
and they still have Rashid Rice coming back in a couple games. So they they are probably going to be good. They got the Jags on Monday Night Football this week, but
They
we'll
do, and
see.
then they have the Lions at home the following week, also on Sunday Night Football. So
Yeah.
you can learn a lot about what the Chiefs are this season in the next couple of weeks. Mainly because if they win both of those, it's going to be like okay, so maybe they're finally over their Super Bowl hangover,
Yeah.
downtroddenness or whatever. Because if they rattle off four straight wins, it's going to be like okay, here come the Chiefs, and it's gonna be like, well, maybe we shouldn't have said all of them are washed over the past like 5 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what we got for this week for this Thursday. Just gonna take a one last look here at things in baseball as we sign off here, just as time has passed. Uh, I'm just trying to see. Oh no, why don't I have the? Oh yeah, we do. The Padres have hung on to win against the Cubs. There will be a game three in that series.
Yeah.
And the Yankees are in the top of the third as we're signing off, and it's top of the third, and the Yankees are winning 2-0.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
we could hey, long way to go. It would be great to have like up to three game threes
Yeah.
this week by the time you're hearing the show on that Thursday because hey, the more baseball the better, man. The more baseball the better, and I just want to see more exciting games. So, any closing thoughts, my friend?
Uh, I didn't want to talk too much about it because I think it might be kind of sad to have dedicated a whole segment about it.
Okay.
But I'll just say, glad we got college football back just for it to be ruined again with the sale of EA. So you can look up why and figure that out for
Mm.
yourself. But EA officially probably dead now. So we can
Well,
mourn the loss of that.
yeah, well, more on the loss of that, and I don't won't delve into the geopolitical politics and all that of that stuff. But you take a really like a company with a bad reputation, and like it's probably only going to get worse. So that's kind of how it is. I mean, that's probably what's going to happen. We got Formula One this week. Hopefully, Oscar Piastri doesn't run straight into the wall on turn two like he did in Azerbaijan. It is the Singapore Grand Prix. And then I guess I'll also say, it's going to be interesting to see what the WNBA does in response to what's her name, Collier's comments.
Yeah.
I can't remember her first name. Help me out.
I I uh I can't think of it either. I just saw it in my head. I can't think about it right now.
Nafisa
Yeah,
Collier.
yeah.
That's the one thing I didn't want to designate a whole segment either, but I think that's in an era where a lot of people are kind of afraid to speak up and say things. If it's not, it is worth going to check it out. Like Nafisa Collier of the Minnesota Lynx, who were eliminated, by the way, was pretty blunt in a pretty direct way about some things that it's the kind of conversations that I'm pretty sure that a league office or commissioner would have definitely not expected a player to just say right on the mic. Certainly not necessarily things in confidence, but things that they probably didn't expect a player to say in that sense of, fear of retribution from the league and all that stuff. So, um, I'll go let you go look it up on
Yeah.
your own because she said a lot of things that I didn't disagree with.
Yeah, I mean, not to go too far into it, but from what I've seen, yeah, I mean, I think there could be some changes with the uh, head office of that league, because I think she's not the only one that feels that way, and I think a lot of people are having conversations, and so I think a change might be happening.
I think the biggest thing, and I'll end with this, we're about to see how much this league listens to its players, not so much its fans, its players. Because these last two seasons of Caitlin Clark being in the league and just everything that's gone on across the board, it's no one thing. And the attention being paid to the league, a lot of their faults are being put on display for everybody. And now with all of the eyeballs, they can't hide. And I think it's going to be one of those things where a lot of the owners are going to be like, you know what? The players are right. Let's see what we can do to switch things around this offseason. So I leave it there. I leave it there. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening, watching, however you consume. Let us know your thoughts. Enjoy another week of college football and playoff baseball. Let us know what's your favorite thing in October. Uh, until then, until next week, whenever we see you again as we get sporadic, this is Kellen.
This is Casen.
And we'll see you as always at the next stop.